Hello and welcome to my channel Airborne for Animals. My name is Lydia and today I'm going to be telling you the do's and the don'ts of cycling in Amsterdam. Cycling in Amsterdam is practically mandatory. It's like visiting Paris and not seeing the Eiffel Tower, which my parents did and I'm still quite baffled by. However, it can be quite scary because there is so much to look out for. You have to look out for other people, you have to look out for trams, cars, motorbikes and other cyclists. So this is a video telling you a few of the basic rules of cycling around Amsterdam, as well as some tips and tricks that have helped me while I've been cycling here for the last few months. If you enjoyed this post, then be sure to like, subscribe and click the bell icon so you'll be notified whenever I post, which is on Wednesdays and Saturdays. First up, getting a bike. There are 100 of rental shops in Amsterdam and I'm not even exaggerating. If you want a list of all the rental shops so you can decide which to get from, there is a link in the description box below to an iAmsterdam website which should help you. If you're staying in a hotel, the hotels tend to also have bikes that you can rent. Depending on how long you're staying for, you might want to look into buying a bike or just renting one. Before you cycle anywhere, be sure to know the basic rules. And the most important one is stick to your lane. All across the city there are bike lanes, which pedal bikes and mopeds can cycle in. You can usually tell a moped which is allowed to cycle in it because they can only go up to 50cc and they have a blue license plate. One thing that does make it easy though is that all of the cycle lanes are red. All of the cycle lanes are red. Another rule is to stay on the right hand side, especially if you're on a canal and you want to make sure that you stay on the right hand side. As someone from England, this was pretty difficult considering everything is on the other side of the road there. But for most people, it should be fairly easy to remember. If you're staying in a hotel, the hotels tend to also have bikes that you can rent with them. Next up is to obey the traffic lights. Due to the high volume of cyclists, the cycle lanes have got traffic lights which are indicated by a red and a green cyclist, although you do find that locals tend not to abide by them. Make sure you put your hand out before you turn, because you'll find on the cycle lanes people like to overtake and you don't want to crash into someone because they're not aware that you're going to turn either left or right. Adding on to this, make sure you look behind you before you turn, because sometimes someone might not see your hand or they're distracted by something else, so just to avoid the crashing. So just do it to avoid crashing. And as I said earlier, just don't forget the fact that you're sharing the road with other cyclists, cars, trams, motorbikes, buses and people. And lastly, always give way to your right. If you come to a junction, the person on your right always has the right of way. I know all of this can sound a little bit scary, but don't worry, that's what the cycle lanes are for. When you're in the cycle lane, you're safe. Just keep an eye out on the pavements for pedestrians crossing and you shouldn't have any trouble. And don't forget, the bike bell is your best friend, so don't be afraid to ring it. If you want to get somewhere and you don't know how, then Google Maps is going to be your best friend. I recommend purchasing a phone holder for you to put on your bike. I'll leave a link for one down in the description box below, but they're really helpful so you can keep track of where you are on your route to your destination. However, if you don't want to purchase a phone holder, then you can just pull up on the pavement and stop and check your phone. That's also allowed, but just don't check your phone while you're cycling because that's guaranteed to cause you to crash. I also find when cycling to a new destination, it's really helpful to count the number of canals that you're meant to cross over. So now you've arrived at your destination, you have to park your bike. Because Amsterdam is such a big bike city, there's always parking. Usually you can find it between the cycle path and the road, or on junctions, or to be honest, kind of just everywhere. Although be sure to look out for signs where there is a bike and a red line through it. You don't want to park there. And usually those can be found on fences. And when you park your bike, be sure you're not blocking in other cyclists or you're on the road. If you want to carry something while you're cycling, then I recommend using a backpack, or try and rent a bike that has a basket on the front of it. However, if you're like me and you try and do some food shopping and you don't have a basket, so you can use your handlebars, but just make sure you spread the weight evenly. Once you have your bike and you've travelled around a little bit, you'll realise it's really not that scary. The final tip that I'm going to give you is just to relax. You'll be absolutely fine, and after a day or two, you'll even start to enjoy it. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to like, subscribe and click the bell icon so you'll be notified whenever I post. See you next time!